Good afternoon. This is Dan Peck, Field Development Biologist and Entomologist for Vestaron Corporation. Today, my intention is to share two product updates, Spear T and Spear Lep, based on new EPA-approved labels that came out in April, and also to introduce a new product, VST 7300. Vestaron was incorporated in 2005 and it has gone through amazing growth in the last few years. We've grown from 23 employees in 2018 to 45 in 2020, for instance. And we have made a recent shift in the last couple of years from a largely R&D platform to actually full commercialization. And our first two products, Spear T and Spear Lep, are a result of that. So our vision overall is to lead a peptide-based revolution in plant protection. And towards that goal, we are proud to be able to announce that we were awarded the 2020 EPA Green Chemistry Award for novel biocontrol solutions a few months ago. The Spear peptide active ingredient is a very large molecule. It's many, many times the size of imidacloprid, for instance. And so bioavailability, helping this molecule to reach its active sites in the nervous system of the insect, has been a challenge that has stymied other attempts to work with peptides as insecticidal active ingredients. Just back in November 2018, Spear was awarded a new IRAC group number 32. It's called the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor allosteric modulator site 2. This means that Spear targets these receptors in a way that is distinct from any existing class of insecticides, including the neonics and the spinosins, which also work on the same area. As you know, new IRAC groups are few and far between. The last major one was group number 2028 a number of years ago, the diamides. And since then, we've had a few minor groups. But part of the key to this success for Spear and our future peptide active ingredients is that they will bring new IRAC groups to the table for insecticide resistance management. In our first product, Spear T, Spear is able to get to the target sites through contact or topical activity. The insect largely needs to be hit with a direct spray from a foliar spray. Then the Spear at relatively high concentrations is able to diffuse in through the spiracles and make it to the hemocoel and the nervous system of the insect, where it helps the neurotransmitters bind and open that channel, stopping any depolarization from taking place and causing paralysis of the insect and death. So this is topical contact based on the product Spear T. And that is in Spear T. This original label was approved in August of 2017 for only greenhouse use and a limited number of insect pests, mostly your smaller, softer-bodied insects such as aphids, mites, thrips, and whiteflies. Spotted-winged Drosophila also made it onto that label, but at that point there were no outdoor uses for it. The new EPA label was approved this year in April, and for the greenhouse uses, we were able to include a broader range of insect targets, as well as crops, and also new application instructions to clarify what was a pretty confusing section on the prior label. We also, with the new label, most importantly, opened up outdoor field uses, and that includes use on crops such as hemp and tobacco. This is the list of indoor use sites and target species. You can see we list various species of aphids, plant-feeding mites, whiteflies, and thrips across a range of most of the vegetables, edibles, and non-edibles that are grown in the greenhouse, as well as hemp and tobacco. Now, the outdoor uses that we were mainly added with this label are use in field vegetables, field fruit. We also added in hemp, hops, and tobacco. And you'll see if you study the label in more detail that we are still targeting the same suite of smaller, softer-bodied insects, such as your plant-feeding mites, thrips. Here we add psyllids as well, and aphids and whiteflies. We most importantly clarified the indoor use instructions. We now have label language which says to mix 2 to 3 gallons of spear tea into enough liquid to build up a volume of 100 gallons. In other words, that's a 2 to 3% product solution. Growers are also able to use it in the greenhouse using low volume and ultra low volume application equipment. In that case, they would apply 1 to 3 gallons of spear tea per acre. As far as outdoor use instructions, these are fairly straightforward. Is to apply 1 to 3 gallons of spear tea per acre. And we also recommend the use of a non-ionic surfactant to help to improve coverage, which will help to improve performance. Finally, the other major label change to spear tea is that it can now be used as one of the products that a lot of greenhouse growers are starting to use to prevent the arrival of hitchhiking insects on plant material that comes into greenhouses. So like some of the other bioinsecticides that are used this way, we can also now use spear tea this way, largely in a 10 to 25% product solution, dipping the plants into it. We have done some studies with plant sensitivity, and there are some cultivars that may be sensitive, geraniums, petunias, and salvia cuttings, for instance. But otherwise, we like that this is now another option for growers who want to prevent the introduction of pest insects and pest mites on incoming plant material. Our second label is spear lep. In this case, the mode of action is through ingestion. And we do this because we are able to overcome the bioavailability challenge by combining an application of spear lep with a low label dose of a lepidopteran active BT. Even at sublethal rates, the BT damages the gut wall of the insect, and that allows the spear to make it through the gut wall and into the target sites on the insect nervous system. So you can see that this use of spear is quite distinct from spear tea. This product has to be used with a lepidopteran active BT. The original label was approved in September 2018, but it wasn't made commercially available until January 2019. It was for open field uses against a very broad range of lepidopteran targets, because our experience was largely limited to the use of BT Izawi and BT Christaki, which must be co-applied with the spear lep. And this is an identical formulation to spear tea, but obviously it has very different label language. The new label was approved in April 2020, at the same time that the new spear tea label was approved. And some of the major label changes were revising and simplifying the target species listings. We also added Colorado potato beetle in combination with a beetle active BT products such as BT tenebrianus, and we were also able to get hemp and tobacco added onto this label. The application rates and volumes did not change at all from one label to the next. One of the main changes was, again, like I said, adding Colorado potato beetle as a particular target, even though it's largely the caterpillars, loopers, and worms that spear lep is designed to control. We simplified very much the crop listings. We broadened them, put them into their own table, and then we took the target species of lepidopterans and put that into their own table. Essentially, any of these species that can be targeted with a BTK or BTA are susceptible to spear products. And so we did not list target species by crop listing. We simply were able to simplify the label by saying these are all the target species which could be controlled in any of those crops listed in the crop table. So finally, just to summarize what we're seeing, why growers want to try to use spear lep and spear tea is because of its safety profile. It's biologically based. It's a bioinsecticide according to the EPA. It's not organic certified, however. We have very good worker, vertebrate, pollinator, and residue safety. No impacts on natural enemies, no harmful residues. It's MRL exempt, and a very low risk of plant phytotoxicity. Secondly, it's a very useful new tool for insecticide resistance management, and it's a new IRAC group 32 to which no current insects are resistant. So no cross resistance and no current resistance. So it can also be incorporated into rotations with other active ingredients to protect the lifespan of other commercially available products. And we believe it has a versatility that growers are accepting of probable activity on all LEP species that can be targeted with a foliar spray, 0-day PHI, 4-hour restricted entry interval, MRL exempt, has a 2-year shelf life at room temperature. It can be a substitution for conventional products that you may want to rotate out because of a poorer safety profile or because of non-target effects. And it's also finding a role as a pre-harvest application for the management of residues in food crops. Finally, I want to end by simply introducing our new product, VST 7300, also known as 7304, depending on the formulation. But there are many similarities to spear because, like spear, this is a bioinsecticide and it is made up of a peptide active ingredient. Also, like spear, the main targets are Lepidopteran larvae, and it must be combined with a low label rate of a BT product. We know that this active ingredient also targets the insect nervous system, but it does so at a site that is distinct from spear and probably distinct from all other insecticides. So we believe this is likely to become a new IRAC group and yet another good tool for IPM and for resistance management. It will be in a dry formulation, and the application rate range now we're still honing in on would be about 9 to 36 grams of active ingredient per acre. And I'll finish now with just one performance slide showing that in this case with tomato fruitworm and tomatoes with 4 applications at 7-day intervals, we were able to show that across 9, 18, and 36 grams of active ingredient per acre, that we had the same performance as spear. We saw a positive rate response, and we believe that this product will become another potential rotational tool for the management of Lepidopteran pests. Thank you very much for your attention.